Have you ever felt like you were following someone else's dream? Like the path that you were on was never really yours, but you're just walking it because everyone expects you to. That's exactly how I felt as an engineer, and trust me, it wasn't pretty at all. I'm going to tell you the story of how I broke free from that. I moved to LA with no backup plan and started living the life that I truly wanted as a writer and filmmaker and artist. Hi, welcome back to a Screenwriter's Secret Diary podcast. Today we're outside and I'm watching the ocean, the breeze. There are some birds over here and we're just gonna chill together a little bit. So if you're new here, my name is Sarah and this is the podcast where I share my personal journey as a screenwriter and filmmaker in Los Angeles, but right now I'm in Turkey visiting my family. Today's episode is really close to my heart. I feel like I've never shared this. I've always talked about being a chemical and biological engineer, but I've never told you guys how I actually quit right after I graduated, after some internships, and I decided to follow my passion for writing because I felt like I was meant to be a writer, but I didn't have the proper guidance to know that that's what I needed to do. Also, like in countries like this, I guess most of the countries, parents don't want you to be an artist because it's starving artists, right? That's the belief that everyone has. So they want you to be an engineer or a doctor. So let's talk about it, and let's talk about how you can follow your passion, because honestly, you come to life only once. And well, do you want to live like you want to live? Do you want to live in someone else's fantasy of you? So buckle up and let's get into it. So how I became an engineer. I didn't just wake up one day and decided to study engineering. It also wasn't my childhood dream or anything. My life was pretty much set on the path of math, science, and all those lovely formulas that come with it. I even went to a science high school. That's the kind where physics, chemistry, biology, math, and geometry are the only classes you take. Math, geometry, and science teachers would always take over the literature, history, and geography classes. And I did like literature, I did like history, I did like geography. So like rarely they would come in to teach that, and I would be so happy, like philosophy. But most of the time math, geometry, and science teachers would take over, and you would only learn that really. And my family, well, they were all about me becoming an engineer or a doctor. That's just what I had to do. According to them, it's a respectable career, a stable job, all the safe options. Additionally, my dad was extremely obsessed with the fact that my uncle, his brother, was a chemical engineer. So that career choice seemed like the perfect option for me. But here's the thing, while everyone around me was focusing on science, I was sneaking away to write stories. Literally, since the moment I learned how to put sentences together, I was creating wild storylines and additional characters for all my favorite TV shows and cartoon shows like Winx Club, which I used to be like, you know what, this show needs more characters, this show needs this type of a twist, and that used to be my escape from reality and life. So I would create entire new plot lines. Even in college, when I was studying chemical and biological engineering, I used to create additional plots, storylines, and possible cliffhangers for the show Breaking Bad, Prison Break, and so many others. So I've filled 36 thick diaries full of fiction stories over the years. 36. But no one ever noticed that I was meant to be a writer. But I don't know if I blame them, because I was busy being the science kid. I was so happy that I was making my parents proud and things like that. Deep down, I really was meant to be a writer. Even when I was studying chemical and biological engineering, again, I used to write sci-fi stories. I used to learn, like, the moment I learned something interesting about thermodynamics, I would be like, oh my god, what if this was the case in a like dystopian world and there was this thermodynamics device and we could do this type of a water thing. I don't know, I just had so much fun with fiction stories. I had a wild imagination and it never stopped. Then the turning point. So I had 1 year left to finish college and I was doing a lot of internships in lab coat, and on paper I was doing great, but I was really miserable. I didn't like anything that I did. Not in a I hate my job way, but more like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This feels wrong. This feels like this is not meant for me. And I saw people, like some of my classmates, who were so passionate about chemical and biological engineering. And I thought to myself, can't I find something? Don't I have something that I'm passionate about, just like they are passionate about chemical and biological engineering? Every time I worked on a project, my mind wandered to the stories I wanted to tell. Like each scientific project or whatever, quality control, R&D, research and development of chocolate that I was doing in one of the internships, I would just be like, oh my god, this would be a great story. Imagine an engineer like working at a lab like this, and then this sci-fi thing happens, and then they have to do this, and then blah, 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 blah. Like I would just go on to these stories. I realized that I wasn't meant to be an engineer when I found myself feeling more alive when I was directing and writing plays for theater club in college. I then became the president and founder of the humor club, the student club. I don't know if you guys had those, like college student clubs. In this club, I literally had to create events, write sketches, and direct plays on the stage. I even did acting coaching for actors, which is like, what? Did you ever get any acting classes that you're coaching people? But I just felt like this was what I needed to do. It was almost like I was that in another life or something. Like it came to me so naturally. Like all my elective classes were also philosophy. I tried to get screenwriting, I couldn't. But taking these classes and really getting involved in humor club and theater club and art, it was rush and it was giving me this joy, and I craved it more than anything. In the summer of 2017, I literally had 1 year left to become a chemical and biological engineer. So during that summer, I took a leap of faith. Is that what they say? And I went to LA for this 3-month screenwriting workshop. It was an incredible experience. Like that was the time I really felt alive. That was the time I was like, oh, this is what I have to do. That's crazy. The moment I finished the workshop, like the last day, they gave us a piece of paper to join their like bachelor or master's program. And because I couldn't do master's, like I had to do bachelor's, but I was like, I want to stay and do bachelor's in screenwriting. Like I don't want to have anything to do with engineering anymore. But my parents really insisted that I finish my engineering degree first, so I have that in my pocket. So I went back to Turkey. I finished engineering. I had 1 year left anyways, but it was still so much torture. I was just writing screenplays as I was doing it, and yeah, it was crazy. After finishing engineering, I followed my passion for storytelling and I applied to an MFA, Masters of Fine Arts in Screenwriting. So moving to LA with no plan. For my Masters in Screenwriting, what did I do? I quit engineering the moment I graduated, just like that. By the way, I had so many connections in engineering, and I could have climbed the ladder very fast. My dad, first of all, was in the industry. My uncle was in the industry. My uncle was on the food side, food engineering, and My dad was literally one of the CFOs of a very influential pharmaceutical company here, but I chose to move to LA, to Hollywood, to pursue screenwriting where I have zero connections. Zero. Literally. I had no one I knew in the US. Everyone I knew I met in 2017, but most of them went back to their countries and they were just like, yeah, whatever. So I didn't have a real plan in LA. I had no job waiting for me. I had no connection that was gonna help me. So let's be honest, I had no clue whatsoever about what I was doing. But I had one thing, and that was my dream, my passion, and the sense of just feeling alive and feeling fulfilled. It sounds cliche, I know, but moving to LA without any backup plan was both the scariest and the most exhilarating thing I've ever done. Imagine showing up in a new city with no connections whatsoever, no friends, and no connections in the industry that you want to break into. You just have you and your passion, and you just want to learn and be as best as you can be in that field. So that was me. Hi. I was honestly terrified, but I was also very happy and relieved that I was finally taking control of my own life and my own story. It definitely wasn't smooth sailing. My master's of screenwriting, oh my god, that was the best thing I've ever done. Like, I had GPA that was so high. I was just like, whoa, because I was just so passionate. I loved the craft. It was so hard. It was like so many deadlines, so many things you have to write, but I just loved it. Some days were not easy. I was like, what am I even doing here? But even on those hard days, I knew it was better than staying stuck in a life that wasn't what I wanted. My career now, after 6 years of living in Los Angeles. So let's talk about what life looks like now. Am I rolling in money? No. Do I have the stability of a 9-to-5 job? Not even close, like, believe me. But do I have the freedom to tell the stories that I want? Yes. And that's honestly priceless to me. Literally priceless. Right now, I'm working as a screenwriter and filmmaker in Los Angeles. I make money with freelancing, writing projects for clients, script consultation, script supervising on set, and working on my own films. I also work a lot on networking, building connections in the industry, pitching, and getting general meetings with managers, agents, and producers. That's something I really have to do, like all the time. It never stops. Even when you make it, it never stops. It's a hustle for sure, and honestly there are months when things are really tight. Like, I'm on a crazy budget, but hey, it's good for weight loss. But then I compare it to the life that I could have had as an engineer, and believe me, I have a lot of engineers around me, like people I know from my past, and I see their lives and I'm just like, okay, there's a secure income. But they don't look happy, honestly. Even those who loved engineering, they don't look very happy. Not gonna lie, because it's always like, well, in my life in Los Angeles, it's also always go, go, go. But I guess, I don't know, there's something about it that's just not fulfilling most of the time, because you're mostly working for someone else, and whatever you do for that company, like, okay, when I was an intern at this chocolate company, whatever, I made a chocolate recipe and then I pitched it to the R&D manager and he loved it, but then he pitched it to his higher ups and they didn't like it. They were like, oh, we tried this in 2001 or something and it didn't work out. It was rose flavored, white and like dark chocolate mixed something, and I didn't even had like the flower shape and everything. Okay, that was the pitch. When I came back to Turkey in I think it was like 2019 or 2021, I'm not sure, one of the above. I saw it. I saw that chocolate. And even though it was different a little bit, it still was my idea. But whatever you're doing for the company belongs to them. You cannot just take the recipe and, I guess, patent, whatever, like register it to your name and copyright it. Whatever you do for a company belongs to them. And in screenwriting, there are also sometimes where like you do something for a company and it belongs to them, yes, but also you do your own thing on the side. I don't know, I'm just happier this way. So I'd rather face uncertainty with a passion than security without it. And I hope that's something you also relate to in your life. And I've learned to embrace the unpredictability. And there's something very thrilling about carving your own path, even if it feels a little crazy. Sometimes my uncles would ask me like, hey, what do you do really over there? Like, what do you write? And I'm like, films and TV shows. And they're like, did you write anything for Netflix? I'm like, yeah, that's the bar for you, for me to be successful, like your bar for me, right? That's something every screenwriter, every actor also would relate. Like, I don't know if you guys watched episode 26 or 27 where I interviewed Clara Navarro, a great actress. She also had shows on great Spanish TV channels and stuff, and she still talks about how like making it means different things for everyone, but to her, making it means, am I doing it? Am I doing everything I can? Am I doing like indie projects that fulfill my soul and things like that, which I really honestly relate. So there's something thrilling about carving your own path, even if it feels a little crazy, because let's be honest, it is extremely crazy. It is not easy to just move to another country with another language and then learn all the rules over there and network, do masters in a completely different field than yours, in a completely different language, and then trust that it will all work out eventually. So take the leap. If you're sitting there stuck in a job or a life that doesn't feel like you, and you feel like you're just wasting your life away, and you have another passion that you really love, honestly, this is your reminder that it's never too late to change your path. Whether it's starting a creative project, or just moving to a new city, new country, or just admitting to yourself what you really want, and honestly journaling about it. Just that, like, you don't have to quit your job right away and be like, oh, I'm gone, and then you'll be homeless. Like, calm down. Write down, like, hey, I want to be a painter, actually. Like, that's what I do all weekend. So, like, that makes me feel alive. Just admit that to yourself. Write down, journal about it. And even though it's scary to admit that to yourself, it really is the most rewarding thing you'll ever do in the long run. And remember that you don't need all the answers before you start. Like, I didn't have the answers, all of it at all. I just took a leap of faith and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I left my boyfriend back then, like 6 years ago. I left him behind. Like, our families were really wanting us to get married. My dad was about to buy us a very expensive house. I said, I'm really sorry, like, we're gonna break up because you're not coming with me, and I'm gonna do this. Like, I just have to do this. I'm sorry. If you're not coming with me, that just means we're not meant to be, because I'm meant to do this. I also told my dad, like, instead of buying me a house, pay for my master's degree, please. I just did that with no plan, no backup plan as well. Like, right now I just have an A plan. B plan, C plan, they're non-existent. And I don't care. A plan will work out, and it is working out slowly but surely. So overall, I didn't have a roadmap. I just knew that I couldn't keep following someone else's dream. I couldn't keep up with appearances, honestly, that, oh, I'm an engineer, like, oh, everyone is proud of me. Oh, like, no, that's not me. So if that's you as well, honestly, take the leap, and you never know where it might take you. So thank you so much for listening to A Screenwriter's Secret Diary podcast. Make sure to subscribe and like if you liked this video. And I'm seeing you every Wednesday with a new episode. Take care.